schedule starting January, March, April, May, yeah, 25th. All right. See, maybe a little heat this morning. So this morning is ministry. Today is I struggle with is seeing ministries that if churches would collaborate with each other, there's solutions out there that are better qualified to be put in somewhere as a ministry. Like a men's house, awesome idea. How's it going to get funded? A rehab, awesome idea. How's it going to get funded? Well, my neighbor's going to work this morning. Cool. Mr. Hilton. So today's Ministry Monday. I was just ranting a little bit about how ministries are complete their mission, right? And my concept of charity is, I guess, different than a lot of other people's definition of charity. I don't consider it charity to give people free stuff. I would rather take those people that are less fortunate and provide them a place where they can become productive members of society. Tiny house community that's faith-based. You want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? You can go make yourself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich instead of us making it for you. I think that's more of a case of love than giving somebody something. You know, somebody posted, I think it was on YouTube, just a post talking about a ministry that goes out and helps the poor people, the people on the streets, whatever. And I just made the comment of our time, resources, and mission could be better used by establishing faith-based intentional community. And they came back with, well, our ministry just doesn't have the resources. Well, then collaborate with other ministries. If these ministries would collaborate instead of being selfish and doing it just themselves, collaborate, you know, take all the churches in the county that I live in and have them collaborate and make a place where these people that are living on the street struggling would have a place to rest their head at night. They wouldn't have to be out every day on the streets. They wouldn't need a shopping cart full of stuff. You know, the millions of dollars that get wasted on welfare programs from the government could easily be converted into buying some land, putting the people in tiny houses, some real basic rules, almost like a shelter or a warming center. No drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. Do a bag check on the way in. Or have them put it in a locker. Like, take out the things that you're allowed in, leave everything else in a locker. But just giving people stuff isn't the solution. You know, we see a lot of stuff online of people, good morning. See if I can catch that name. I'm going around a corner, hold on. Looks like Tut. I'm going to shorten that up for you. So, this kind of goes along with some of the things that I talk about on Farm Fridays, is if we give them a task, generally speaking, people will go along with the when we would hey, want to help do this thing, generally speaking, they'll do it. I saw it when I lived at the Hope House in Bangor. Generally speaking, people will be helpful to each other and help each other, progress. If everybody does it on their own, just like with the ministries, if each little ministry only gives out peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on Saturday or whatever they do on whatever day, we're not going to make any progress helping people. We're handing people things. It's a handout, not a hand up. We need to start focusing on things that are a hand up. So if you guys have any opinions on ministries that only focus on handing out bag lunches on Saturdays or whatever they do, contact your local church and see if they have a ministry that's focused on actually helping people. Because I've attended many churches, and many churches do have programs, but they're not focusing on the issues that society is facing. Everybody's broke for the most part, except for the rich folk. Reducing expenses or sharing expenses, especially in a community. And then, these people who claim to be Christians don't understand that people don't need a handout. There's already ministries and groups that, give meals and give food bags. And that's the real simple answer to, we want to do a ministry. Hello, Dean. We're talking, because it's Ministry Monday, we're talking about ministry things and trying to talk through some of the stuff that I struggle with, like, these ministries that are real basic and I hate to use the word selfish, but they want all the attention on them when instead all the attention should be on God and on Jesus. What would Jesus do? He would have set up an intentional community for the people that are struggling, a place where they can rest their head. And in our society, in today's society, people have problems with having an ID or getting their birth certificate or having a stable place to live so that they can get a job. I faced that problem, the employment problem, all throughout being homeless, and nobody hires people that have an address of a homeless shelter or a warming center. Well, it's very rare. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen, but it's very rare. I lost out on many jobs while being homeless because my address was a homeless shelter. So my goal, ever since I came up with the idea, something about farming and community, looking at how the Amish live, and then, on my YouTube channel, I have the Bible verses that show how, and it's voluntary, of course. I'm not going to force anybody to do it, but how the early Christians lived communally. So the low fuel light came on, so I am going to have to make a stop in Milford. I'm not going to make it to Circle K and Brewer, especially since I have to stop for this bus. So if you guys have any opinions or have some constructive criticism for this project, the simplest thing we can do is reach out to our local churches and find out what their plan is to take the next step. I think, street ministries are important, yes, to get people to understand that we're trying to do a thing, But if you're just handing out bag lunches on Saturdays, it's not solving anything. You're just it's like feeding the bears at a park. You don't feed the bears at a park because then they're going to be accustomed to eating trash. Seagulls, whatever animals at the park. You don't feed the animals. I'm not calling people animals. I'm just saying, if you feed somebody something for a certain period of time, they're not going to do any work to make their lives better when you're giving them stuff all the time. Good thing I moved money from Cash App savings to Cash App cash balance, because, yeah, I'm going to be lucky to make it to Milford. Pass me if they want to, but so the new schedule is starting on May 25th. I'm going to be starting a new job that has a different schedule. So instead of 7:15 to 8:15 in the mornings, it's going to be something like 8:45 to 9:45. Gives me a little bit more time in the morning to take care of, the stuff that's growing on the farm. It's nothing against my current employer, and I told him that it's just I'm not getting enough hours. I'm not making enough to make progress. I didn't tell him that part, but I need more hours to do the things I want to do. The guy at work that talks about teamwork makes the dream work. It's like, well, whose dream are we working for? It's not my dream. Oh, man. What a beautiful Monday morning. I hope everyone is blessed, enjoying the day, the morning. At least in my area of the world, things are starting to grow. The green is coming out on the trees. The grass is growing. I got stuff in my eye. Sleepy seeds or whatever it's called. So I'm trying to talk through this in my head kind of out loud for the show. The ministry, I can't even remember who it was that posted it. But their reasoning for their ministry not building these intentional communities is because of finances and resources. Again, my response is, collaborate with some other churches. I mean, it's a very simple concept of, hey, we want to help people. We don't just want to give them things. That defeats the whole purpose of productive members of society. So if you want to, contact your local church, contact your local ministry, and see what they're doing about taking the next step beyond just giving people bag lunches on Saturdays or whatever they do. I think it's important that we start pushing these churches, who are tax exempt, by the way, to start doing more. Because that was the purpose of the church from its founding until government welfare became the means of supporting people impoverished. It's not really the government's job. Yeah, it's in the Constitution, it's the General Welfare Clause, but it's not the government's responsibility to take care of the people. It's the people's responsibility. And the church, with its millions and millions of tax-exempt dollars, needs to be the one to step up and start taking care of people. Not just the bag lunches they serve on Saturdays or whatever they do, whatever day, but to take the next step. I guess that's kind of the topic today, is ministry is taking the next step beyond the very basic handout mission. There needs to be a hand-up mission, getting people off the streets, getting them in some kind of knowledge base, a skill set that they can use to be productive members of society. So I want to know what everybody's thought is on what can be done by ministries that's a little bit of a step further than just handing out things. Seems like that's been the thing to do for the last, I don't know, 50 years. There needs to be more. More service, but not just free stuff. I don't know how better to say it, I guess. I just know from my experience that there's a lot of local churches in my area. I'm sure that the same thing's happening in your area, that the churches are just taking in all this money, tax-free money, tax-exempt money, and holding on to it, and only doing certain things because of their 501c3 tax-exempt kind of setup. It seems like every time somebody tries to start a tiny house community for the homeless, everybody wants to say, well, it takes years, it does, you're going to have all these permits. No, we don't. No. And it doesn't cost thousands and thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars for tiny homes. My first tiny home was an 8x10. It doesn't have to have all the amenities, because on the property there's going to be a common building, living room, kitchen, bathroom, laundry, shower, all that stuff is a communal thing. Each little tiny house doesn't need all that stuff. Maybe a little half bath or whatever. But the idea is to have those common things in a common space. You can have your little bedroom, maybe a little living room, a little side half bath, toilet and a sink, maybe a little, toaster oven to warm up a snack or something, but all the big stuff is going to be in a common house. We're going to use solar, we're going to use wind, we're going to use natural gas, we're going to be as efficient as we can with the resources we have, because the churches can't find, legally speaking, churches can't donate to a business ministry kind of setup. So once we get the tiny houses filled and everybody's kind of figured out the situation, gonna go over to the big house, take a shower, maybe fill a water jug or get a snack or have a conversation with Joe over there, whatever. Then we focus on skill sets, growing plants, raising livestock. Somebody knows how to grow a certain thing and somebody else doesn't. Those two can work together and grow plants. Or, we're going to have a content lab. We're going to have a workshop where people can build things with their hands. That's what I miss the most about having multiple buildings on a property is, well, I can leave my little tiny house, go over to the workshop and build a little box, jewelry box or whatever, display box, sell it online, and that benefits the community. And again, it's all voluntary. This isn't being forced. I'm not telling people either you do it or else. This is the only solution that I can come up with. It's not a non-profit. It's a business, because we have to treat it like a business. Because as a business, the business doesn't have to account for where its money goes, because it's a business, it's not a nonprofit. That's the thing, is I'm more than willing to pay taxes on the money that comes in and not have to be accountable for where the money goes after I receive it. That's my biggest problem with the 501c3 loophole, is the churches don't have to account for where the money goes, but they can only give it or put it out there in certain ways. Like, I've asked several churches, hey, do you guys want to help with this idea that I have? And most of them ask me, what's your timeline? And I say, right now, let's do it. Let's build this thing. And they're like, oh, these things take years and committees. And I'm like, no, there's no committee. I'm the one running it. I'm the CEO, man. You guys want to help do this? Sure. That's why I don't ask churches for help anymore. I ask people for help. You want to help get this thing off the ground so that the church can do what it keeps doing and looking good, and when we just start pulling people off the streets and out of dying churches, and people are going to ask the question, well, where's everybody going? They're going to a living, breathing church. The congregation is the church, not the building. The only reason the building's there is because it's tax exempt. Because it's technically the church, according to law. Well, I gotta get gas. Kind of hope I have my card on me. Yeah, all right. And that's the other thing. Like, if we had a bunch of people living in one place and somebody's got to still go to work, 1 or 2, 3 people, depending on the vehicle, can ride into town with them and do other things to kind of force multiply the human effort that's in town. Like, people can stay at the house or on the property. Some people can go into town. We're going to take a short intermission. I'm going to leave the stream going. I got to get some gas. The low fuel light's been on pretty much since I left the house, because I didn't go anywhere yesterday. Thunder with 2 R's and no vowels. Come on. I'm within sight of the gas station, and it's on the orange bar. I feel bad for people that got to drive across that bridge every morning. That bridge is horrendous. All right, I gotta get some gas. I'll be back. feel bad for people that have to drive over that bridge, man. That's awful. I'm not going that way. Gotta loop around here so I can get out. Can we make that? Maybe. I've been talking about ministries that are doing half effort. It's an interesting topic, to say the least. You know, there's enough, not really ministries, but there's enough stuff going on, at least in the Bangor area, for the homeless, that a church adding another day to ministry, giving out free stuff, isn't doing anything. The only reason they do it is because it's easy. I don't want to do the easy path. I want to do the hard path, the one that's going to solve the problem instead of continuing it. It's easy to give somebody a free haircut or a free bag of food. Christians are meant to struggle and do the hard thing. Doing the hard thing means making the world a better place, especially for those who are impoverished. Like, it's like a slap in the face. Like, even when you see it online, people talking to homeless people who's got a sign, hey, do you want me to buy you some lunch or buy you some new clothes? That's just vanity. I don't like vanity. I put on a fresh shirt this morning. It's got stains on it. I don't care about vanity. Stains from last week before, because I do tires and oil changes. Like, I need a haircut. Throw it out for a little bit, I guess. I don't care about vanity. I don't care about looking good. I want to do the right thing. And the right thing is helping people help me make the world a better place. But the reason it's hard is because it takes a lot of resources and manpower. So if you guys have any ideas on, how to incentivize the church or the congregation, see, that's the thing, is that we can't really incentivize the church to do anything, because we'd have to change how nonprofits work. We have to ask individual people to help. If you've got a piece of land that you're not using, let's turn it into a farm, a piece of property where people can rest their head and learn a skill set to become productive members of society. Boy, there's no oil tank, sheet metal, white iron. That's not what I'm doing today. Trying to talk to people about doing the right thing. Do the easy thing, nobody's going to make any progress. In the Bangor area, as long as it's not a holiday or a weekend, you can get lunch at Salvation Army and supper at Manna, just down the street. If you're doing anything but Center Street in Bangor as a homeless person, you're doing something wrong. Like, there's a couple other spots. Bangor Area Homeless Shelter, they do quite well. They have a day program and an overnight program. The Hope House out by the airport, I don't know if they have a day program, but I know they house people at night. But outside of those two locations, Center Street's the place to be if you're homeless. Between the library and Salvation Army, you don't have to go far. I'm not saying what those ministries do are easy, but it's still like the base level of what I consider charity to be. I love Manna. I've always liked Salvation Army Soup Kitchen, but there's never been any progress beyond. I mean, Manna Bill tried to do, when he had his spot out there on Lower Main Street in Bangor, tried to do the rehab and men's house or whatever, but back to just doing supper Monday through Friday. Soup kitchen, food pantry on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think. Salvation Army doesn't even do a food pantry anymore. Goes back to that conversation I had with a buddy of mine in Orono, 3 months ago, talking about doing more. And I told him, I've been advocating for this for years and nobody wants to help. So I'm going to do it my way and do it as a business, not a nonprofit. As a business, I'm not liable, and I'll pay taxes as a business. But then, as a business, I don't have to be accountable to where the money goes. It's a business. It goes where it needs to go. The other thing that I have a problem with is churches that only have one authority figure. From my understanding, my research into ministries, when one person has total control of authority, finances, all of that stuff, it's failing the congregation because the congregation doesn't have a say. Hey, maybe we should have an assistant pastor for when the pastor isn't around. The deacons and the bishops are kind of the ones that are supposed to, have ultimate say. There's a board of deacons, a council of bishops. Those are the ones that put the pastor in their position of authority, and that's the pastor's only authority, is to be the pastor. Not the financer, not the one that takes the check to the bank or takes the money to the bank. That's the deacons and the bishops. The bishops and the deacons are the ones that, if somebody has a question, they're usually the first ones that you're supposed to go to. But churches have been flipped on their head. It's not a church anymore. It's just a nonprofit. Looks like a church. All these hostile takeovers. It's the congregation's choice to put these people in positions of power, except when the pastor decides to bring somebody in as like an assistant pastor, and it looks all good, and then the pastor steps down and allows the assistant pastor to take over and start putting their people in positions of authority in the church, and then it's just a takeover. It's done. Bringing in people from other churches to sway the vote. The Bible outlines how the order of things when it comes to the congregation coming together. But yeah, back to the single authority figure in a church doesn't make sense to me. how they can have basically ultimate say over everything that happens in the church, and they're not accountable to anyone. I'm referencing a local ministry, but I won't drop names or anything. So if nobody's aware of the current schedule, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7:15 to 8:15 a.m. Mondays, today, is Ministry Monday, where we talk about ministry and religion and church and all that good stuff. Wednesdays, or whatever Wednesdays, where we talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. I enjoy whatever Wednesdays. And then Fridays are Farm Fridays, where we talk about all things farming and gardening and homesteading and stuff like that. That's kind of part of my ministry. Let's get down to business. So the change in schedule is the time. Normally I stream 7:15 to 8:15. The new schedule is going to be the same days, just a different time. I'm going to go from 7:15 to 8:15 in the morning to something like 8:45 to 9:45 in the morning. Getting down there, almost to the end of Bradley Road. So if you guys are still interested and don't mind the change of time change for the show, hit the subscribe button, double tap the screen for a like. I think with the new job, be a little busier. Not going to have so much free time in the afternoon I'll still be going over to my buddy's house so I can take a shower before I go home. Still going to stop at my mom's every once in a while to fill water jugs, but that's about it. Gonna find a few things to set up the property so that I don't have to do that all the time. I guess I'll go down in here and use the bathroom because I gotta go and nobody's actually watching, so sometimes So the reason I push for this intentional community is so that people don't have to go through the struggle that I go through every day, a 45-minute commute one way. I would rather people not have to make that commute. Trying to figure out what these plants are. Kind of weird looking. Okay. On our way. I guess people didn't really care for the ministry conversation this morning, which is fine. Not every show is going to do as well as the last or the next. My stomach is not happy with me this morning. That's rotten. Sorry. That was bad. So hopefully by next week, because I spend a lot of time on Reddit reading questions, thinking about how to answer people. Reddit's has a really fast turnover rate when it comes to posts. So I'm always seeing fresh questions, fresh answers, how we can maybe use biblical principles to respond to people. People questioning, one of my favorite ones, and I've seen it a couple of times in the last few weeks, people talking about defilement, and, because they do certain things, they feel like they're defiled. Well, we don't live our life based off of feeling. We live our life based off the Word of God, and the Word of God, Jesus himself taught that it's not what goes into man's mouth that defiles him, it's what comes out of his mouth and out of his heart, the way he treats people. That's what defiles him. So when people say, oh, you're still sinning if you're smoking cigarettes or smoking weed or drinking beer, well, the Bible teaches moderation, not complete abstinence when it comes to those things. So, read your Bible, I guess. I used to hear it a lot in churches, but it never really kicked in until, just now. It's like the whole trust and verify. Wow, those trees are really white. Trust and verify concept where, I'm going to trust what the person speaking is saying, but then I need to go back to the Bible and verify what that means. Like, I'm not just going to take somebody's word for it. Don't trust me. Don't trust what I say. Read the Bible. In the New Testament, Jesus teaches what defiles us. It's not a physical battle that we fight. It's a spiritual battle that we fight. I wish I just said, that's the thing is, I don't know if I'm actually going to change the time, because driving in the morning, I see all kinds of stuff that I really don't have time to stop and pick up every little piece of scrap metal. So, I don't know. What do you think? Should I change my schedule to a different time in the morning when I start the new job? Or should I still drive into town at the same time and have some time to pick up some scrap metal? Must be trash day here in Brewer. Everybody's got their trash out. Ugh. Sounds like somebody ran over a skunk or something. Well, we're into town. Nothing different looking. We'll see. Wonder how many vehicles are going to be in the parking lot this morning. Oh, man. Here's an interesting thought. I used to attend a lot of AA meetings when I was homeless. Obviously took a couple of stints of going to AA meetings to kind of get it. How to be sober, how to rely on God. But what if churches, congregations, met as often as AA meetings were held? You know, at least once a day, if not twice a day. How much tighter a community we would be as Christians if we did that. Because not everybody has the same schedule. So, say, have a noontime prayer meeting or a little Bible study, and then in the evening, like after supper, have another little prayer meeting, Bible study, a little service. Once a week, have a big meeting like we do now on Sundays. Like Tiller and Rye's got a bunch of plants out for sale. But that's the other aspect of the ministry that I'm trying, business type ministry that I'm trying to put together, is the things that we grow or make or whatever is going to be put up for sale to fund the community. Yeah, the person's going to get a percentage, say half or whatever they agree to. But in order to expand the community into multiple communities, we need a way to fund it. Still haven't really seen a business idea except that's close to what I'm trying to do, except like food chain restaurants, like, that's just the basics. It's, the distribution is flip-flopped when it comes to the business ministry. We're not relying on a distribution network. We're going to establish our own distribution network. Sell stuff within 100 miles of the community. Oh, goodness. Oh, somebody's already parked on the curb. Hell, this is going to be a fun Monday. Monday fun day. Either the parking lot is completely full or it's completely empty. Still a 50-50 at this point. I have no idea. LePage Bakeries. Interesting. Pretty much completely empty.